Well, welcome back to Daybreak. We're having sitting. You could think it's Parliament, probably sitting arrangements are being huggled over right here. So I'll start with the chief sitting arrangement orchestrator, Shatter Boy. How are you doing?
Nico best.
How do you want to sit? Explain to us.
The way I'm seated, Nico Sawa.
Nico Sawa.
Yes.
I'll take you first, Bobby.
I'm at number 5. I'm at number 5. At a table. Oh, no, see, number 4 is West Ham. Tuko Sawa. You should be here, Willis.
Eh?
You should be here, then cameras won't see you. Then we'll be good.
To go number
6. Oh, actually the 8. Oh, my God.
Number 9, man. Kibro, you already know, representing what? Anyway, welcome to Daybreak. Welcome to another Tuesday. And today we have, again, another interesting topic. It is how men deal with heartbreak. I'm glad that we're a bit balanced in terms of the panel. 2 men and 2 ladies. That way we'll have a nice mix of it all. So we already introduced Mr. Instigator. Roberta Bobby, how you doing?
What's up?
Uko salama salami?
I'm good. How are you?
Niko salama sana. Uko
Excited.
fresh?
Yeah.
Wagwan. Bobby by there alikuwa kwa video. Check it out.
Video vixen.
Video vixen up. You go check it out. Among other things that she does. As well. Chef.
Yes.
How is you?
Missouri sana.
I told you we have a few more of these. By the time we are done with you introducing this show.
Wagwan.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
CJ, okay?
How are you doing?
You're well?
Very well.
We are working on you next. Don't think you're next. But it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Yes, I made it. After the draw, I made it. And after Thursday, I'll still make it, win or lose. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, actually, the question of the day is the basis of, I think, what people always see when it comes to men. So we want to ask you, especially for the ladies today, I guess this question goes to you, or even if you're a man and this is your friend, your brother, anybody, your father, etc. The question is, do you think he moved on too fast? Do you think he moved on too fast? That is the question. You can talk to us using the hashtag Daybreak and SMS 22422. And if you have any views, comments, suggestions as well in the course of the show, you can jump in as well. So we'll start there. Shatter Boy, boy child president.
Wagwan.
Oh, there is the question of the day. There it is coming up right now. Do you think he moved on too fast? 2242 and hashtag Daybreak at Citizen TV Kenya. Is the tweet as well, and because Gituko is looking keenly, I'll be waiting for his feedback as well. All right, so Shatter Boy.
Yeah, man.
How do you think generally men deal with heartbreak?
Man, what is heartbreak?
Kuvunjwa roho.
Tuanzia hapo.
Uchungu unayosikia
man, that is how we deal with it.
Oh.
What is heartbreak?
Yes. You don't acknowledge it.
You don't acknowledge it. You don't acknowledge it exists. And that's how we deal with it, by ignoring it.
Yes.
And now you start jumping around, trying to fill a void that you feel that you don't know what it is. That is how we deal with it.
That's how
you jump here and there and there and there, because no one will ever give you time to acknowledge the fact that you can be heartbroken as a man. So what you do is you escapism. You try to do every other thing, get these hobbies that are not you, just to fight what you're feeling, because you don't know what you're feeling. Yeah, man.
All right. Okay, so if you say they will never give you a chance to acknowledge, who is they?
Society.
Okay.
Women. Men.
In that order.
In that order. You see, society ni kila mtu. Si ndio?
Right.
Wanaume wenzako watakucheka if you tell them you're heartbroken. You get, and ladies will think you weak if you acknowledge that you are broken. So what you do is you find your own mechanisms of dealing with it. Yeah. All
right, Bob, is it true that ladies will think you're weak if you acknowledge at umevunjwa roho?
Well, so far in the society, that's how it is. Like, it's like we're going towards becoming mechanical beings and very technical. So we don't take time to just feel our feelings and experience what it is that we're going through. So you can say that this is maybe a trauma response that is coming up from, you know, an avoidant attachment styles, whereby guys do not want to deal with things because they do not want to be attached, especially emotionally. So it's just easier to go the escapism route,
right,
which is horrible because you cannot hide feelings. They always come back, they always show up. You just have to deal with them, you have to feel with them, you have to accept them and accept that this is the situation you're in so that you're able to start dealing with it. So I do agree with Shatta that in the society we're not very lenient, especially with men. We do not give them the space to just feel their feelings and be themselves. And I don't know why, I feel like that's where we're moving to as a society, just as a general, because we're so busy working, doing all these other things. There's not much time to just sit down with your feelings and say, this is how I feel. So yeah, I guess that's how people are trying to cope with heartbreak now, because you're trying to keep yourself busy, but I promise you feelings always catch up.
So is it when you say you think we're moving towards what, not acknowledging?
Yeah, because you look weak when you acknowledge that you have emotions. That's how it's taken as in the society, which is very wrong, because for you to be able to be vulnerable and to just display emotion, and for you to be able to sit with your feelings and say, I'm hurt, I'm heartbroken, this is how I feel, 1, 2, 3. It takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of strength for you to be able to get that. So this should be so normal, like it should be so basic. I should be able to say, you know, Shatta, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, without feeling like this makes me look weak. But because of everything that is happening in the world simultaneously right now, it's very difficult for someone to find time to even acknowledge their feelings, let alone being conditioned by the society not to feel. It's just so many things happening at the same time that don't really allow people to just feel their feelings, especially the lack of awareness. Because if you do not know what it is that you're going through or what it is you're feeling, and you're not willing to accept it and acknowledge it, then it's uko nje manze.
So in the same question, what is some of the most common ways you found, Shaz, that men deal with the heartbreak?
I am so excited about this topic. I feel I've had such an amazing experience with more men acknowledging that they're hurting from a relationship, and more men, you know, literally sometimes curled up in a fetal position because they're in so much pain about what they lost. They cannot do it out, because remember, when women have heartbreak or when women go through a heartache, they have a group of women. They have a support system that they can cry out to. Men tend to rush to the pub, they get into alcohol, you know, if they can't get over you, they get under somebody else, and that's the fastest way for them to sometimes deal with something. So, you know, it's like not acknowledging it. But when you break down breakups, when you break down even what a man is going through as a breakup, here's the thing you can't run away from, okay? So when you're addicted to cocaine, there's a part of the brain that lights up. And it lights up because it's looking forward to a reward. It's the same part of the brain when you're in love and you're with somebody. So, you know, studies in Colombia showed when they did MRI scans and men were going through heartache, and they wanted to study how did men feel 2 to 3 months later. So they had them go through the scan with the picture of an acquaintance, and, you know, just normal parts of the brain lit up. And when they showed them pictures of the ex, the parts of the brain that lit up were the parts of the brain that were addicted to cocaine, the same parts of the brain that are waiting for the next line. So in the same breath, when a man is going through a heartbreak, no matter what he looks like or how brilliant he looks like or how much pride he has to wear to show I'm okay, the part of the brain that lights up is the same part of the brain that's going through withdrawal. Now, when you're going through withdrawal of any kind of addiction, you are in physical pain. You're in emotional pain. The same part of the brain that lights up when you break a leg, you stub a toe, you physically are in pain, is the same part of the brain that lights up when you go through rejection. So that being said, you can equate heartbreak to literal physical pain. Now, men don't know what to do with that. How do I take this pain? How do I make sense of it? How do I call my homeboy and say, hey, I need a cry. I feel depressed. I don't want to leave home. I actually, you know, don't even want to put aftershave on. I feel miserable.
Because you can't see it, right? It's not a physical, you can't. It's not a wound you can put a bandage on.
It is a wound, and all you're doing is putting a band-aid on. Okay. Because you are feeling that I can't let any other guy see that I'm hurting. The other guy should see, oh, you broke up, you know, you got a whole bunch of other women around you, so you're doing well. So men do not deal with breakups. But the thing is, you know, it's painful for a woman to see, because she'll turn around and say, he's moved on. You know, he seems okay. He's got into a hobby, a sport. He's excelling in his career, and he seems to have a new woman on his arm. This is killing me. But what the woman doesn't understand is it's not hit him yet. Give it between 6 to 8 weeks for him to understand you are no longer a part of his life, and that will come rushing back. It's his way of avoiding you completely. So the minute the man deletes everything to do with you, all your texts, and he goes and blocks you, it's a sign he's in pain, because he just cannot deal with it. The minute the man is with somebody else immediately and sleeping around, getting drunk, you know, infatuated with other areas of his life, he's in pain. He's just not dealing with the breakup.
So you said, I like you said, men don't deal with it. Because the question is, how do men deal with it? They don't. And Shatta was like, what is heartbreak? So CJ, what about you, like in your experience as well? Because
my experiences isn't personal.
No, not personal. No, as a life coach and relationship expert. Don't start headlines. Yeah, what would be your experience? Because there is a lot of escapism, and that question that we're asking today seems to be the thing that everybody says. He's moved on so fast. But what really goes on in a man's mind?
See, from
especially when they're alone at night before Alale or Chana using my social media.
You see, generally, just break it down into very simplest.
Right.
When you were growing up, what were you playing with? And if you had girls around you, what were they playing with? What were their toys? What were your toys? Women grow up looking up towards having a stable and safe and healthy relationship. Boys they stumble into relationships. So this is not something that is very high in their hierarchy of needs at a particular point. You know, it's something they will stumble into mostly because of a need, probably because they need their physical needs met. At some point, they're thinking, I need to settle down with somebody who will help me for convenience sake. But for women, they're more prepared from a very young age. They're looking into connections, they're looking into having intimacy, not necessarily physical, but they want people that they can talk to, be with, spend time with. For boys, we grow up probably playing football. See, what happens when we come on set? Football. These girls have to hear us talk about football. That's really the main thing. And then you'll probably talk about politics, you'll talk about rally cars, you know, Formula One, stuff like that. We are nearly very inanimate. Whether it is by default or by design, we're nearly very inanimate. So sometimes that makes us not recognize that we are actually relational beings. It's not a comfort place for us. We have not grown up being aware of our feelings and expressing those feelings and expressing that we actually need somebody in our lives. So we think that we meet people for them to fit into a certain thing, meet a particular need at that point. As I said, maybe it is just physical needs. I had to remember that I'm on morning show. I have to edit the words. Maybe it's just physical needs. Maybe it's just somebody to live with and then they take care of certain stuff. Or maybe we feel, well, now I need to have some kids because my family needs me to set up a family. But because we do not put relationships so high up over there, when we are hit in relationships, we want to act like we're not affected because we did not give it the weight that it needed to have. For a woman, because she has acknowledged from the very beginning that relationships mean a lot to her, when she is hit in a relationship, she will talk about it. But for a man, we try to demean it. And that's why now we will escape, because we want to look like, how can you be crying over a lady? I mean, a lady? There's another lady. You can always find another lady. That's not a big deal, man. You talk about losing business and stuff, because that's what we have made look like it's a man thing. But we have really diminished the place of relationships, yet the truth is we are relational beings. So we don't know how to acknowledge that something we thought was not important is actually important to us. We get into that confusion.
So are we not acknowledging it because we are afraid to deal with that part? of ourselves, or do we have no idea because, you know, we just don't
See, well, if you're relating with somebody and then you say, well, she's not important to me, I'm just with Bobby because, you know, anyway, I'm just with her. You know, I'm just, she's the one who wanted me, so I'm just with her. I don't want to break her heart and stuff. Then you actually realize that you've fallen in love with this girl. You will first of all go into denial because you have been trying to tell yourself you're not connected. And then you realize that you're actually connected. So what will you do? You will always try to make it look like I wasn't even connected. But then privately, you begin to deal with the pain of that connection, which then throws you into a very unfamiliar place. How do I acknowledge something that I have been denying myself all this while? How do I come out and talk about something that I do not even want to acknowledge that I'm going through? It becomes a very difficult place for you.
All right, and so, Shatta, back to you. First of all, vile umesikia kuna some fundamentals hapo. Najua who gonna respond kwanza.
We move.
Nataka response kwako kwanza.
Maybe unpopular
I say
opinion.
this because I know Shatta.
Unpopular opinion.
Yes.
I think kwa breakup, it is the only good thing that ile society na ngamba nyima mwanaume kwa acknowledge feelings zake, hapo ndio inakujanga handy for us. Because tukigura mlutonyima kufeel. So even when we break up, we still don't feel. Unaona, umenitoka iko tu young, sio wewe kwanza kunitoka. Nimegrow up na rejection all through. Nimegrow up nikionyeshwa mimi ni robot. So hata ukinitoka, I'm still a robot. For the first time hapo ndio inasaidia mwanaume, but I think okay, sijafika hiyo level ya life. Maybe nikizeeka nitafika hapo pali nitafeel emotional, sasa naanza kusiambia guy kumbe tuliachanaga. But right now tukiachana we move. Yo, hatukuna time ya kulia, tukiachana tunasonga. Heartbreak ni Arsenal pekee.
But anyway, that one I agree. But anyway, I agree in the Arsenal part. But Bobby, Shaz said something. He says, tukiachana we move.
Yeah.
But then Shaz says that, you know what, it just hasn't hit you yet. So what happens when it actually hits you? When it will hit Shatta, for example.
Niko year 3.
So just what Shazmin said. You see, as women, we have this community where we've made it so normal for us to speak to each other about our feelings. Like CJ said, the example he gave, when we sat here, you guys were talking about football. When Shazmin saw me, the first thing she said was, "Are you okay? Are you fine? Are you sure?" You know, like she wants to know how am I feeling, and it's that easy for us. It's that easy for me to just tell her about how I've been and what I've been going through and how I'm feeling currently, because I don't even have to think about it. It comes so easy to speak about. And for men, it's a bit different because, you know, it's almost as if they have to hide their feelings.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, if you ask me that and you want to go deeper, say, watch a 20 evening. Let's go get some coffee or something. Let's not talk about it like now.
Benefit na heartbreak ya mwanaume. Gym.
In a benefit. But that's
that.
Both. Anyway, sorry, you cut you short. Go ahead.
So yeah. So what happens for women? For any problem that you have, the first step has to be acceptance. You have to accept that this is how I feel, this is the situation I'm in, for you to be able even to solve anything or to deal with it or to, you know, figure out what it is that is actually happening. So what happens with us women is that because of these communities that we've grown in of just supporting each other, especially emotionally, it's so easy for us to just speak out and feel our feelings. So it's very easy to accept. It's very easy for me to just sit here and say, okay, this is how I feel, this is my heart is breaking, I'm in so much pain. And once you accept, it becomes so much easier to just move on. So what happens is women start dealing with the problem immediately. We do not put it under the rug. We do not wait for one day where it's gonna get better. No, we start dealing now. We cry now, we talk about it now. We try to figure out what's happening now. But for men, they cannot even have conversations about what it is that they're feeling. So they kind of have to sweep it under the rug for later when, you know, now the pain, the emotional pain starts manifesting as physical pain, and you do not know what to do. You do not know where to take the pain. You do not know how to deal with it. But as long as you're not accepting that you're in pain, then you stay in this loop where it's a cycle where you're not sure, you don't know what to do, you don't know who to speak to. The pain is manifesting physically and it keeps getting worse. So what men do is it hits them later because they're not willing to accept and feel their feelings. While for women, by the time tunafika hiyo 6 weeks, like I've had time, I've cried, I've called all my girlfriends, I've talked about it, I've done everything that I need to do to start healing and to feel better. And by this time, this is when now the guy is starting to see, you know, oh my God, why am I feeling this way? So the only way to make sure that you do not let it get to you like that is if you just start accepting what it is you're feeling right now. In that situation, you have to acknowledge your feelings because, like I said, most men tend to just lie on the logic side of things. You know, if I do this, if I stay busy, if I go to work, if I go to the gym, if I'm busy with this, if I meet other women, if I'm at the bar, if nini. But you're not giving yourself time to just think about, this is the situation I'm in and this is how I need to deal with it, and this is, you know, this is the step I need to take. So by the time inasonga, you reach a point where you cannot rely on all these things that have been giving you the dopamine that you've been needing all this time. It's starting to wear off. You start feeling like it's too late for you to salvage anything that's already, you know, been destroyed. So the thing is, I'm not gonna say it's a boy thing and girl thing. It's just how we've been conditioned to Zoya things in the society, of which is, I keep telling people, you cannot just make decisions from your mind. You have to include your heart. You have to allow your heart to thrive. You have to allow your emotions to come and fill that space so that you're able, so that you're able to make
a
very, so that you're able to allow your emotions to help you make these decisions, because sometimes your mind is going to to cause an avoidant attachment style, especially if that's how you've grown up. You know, you've grown up avoiding things. You do not know how to confront situations. You're not very quick to talk about things. But the more you grow and the more you learn, it becomes easier for you to deal with things and accept things. That's what I think. But it takes work. Like, you have to actively do this deliberately all the time. Because if you rely on just, you know, I'll get better, time itaisha. No, I promise you, it doesn't go away.
Time is the healer.
It doesn't go away.
Right.
Yeah.
So, there's probably a dude who's watching, but I like what you say that it's both. It's both. There are actually men who actually deal with it and go through, try to put in the work. The challenge is they don't talk about it as much. They don't, because like Shata said, you don't seem like, okay, we emotion, no? I don't. Yeah, but there's some who try to do that as well. Same, and then there are also some women who are just, again, thank you for reminding me, morning TV, they're just bad. They're just like, you know, do this. The next one, let's do this, gang. So, but you know, since we're talking about men, so what happens then for somebody who's watching now and they're like, okay, sawa, I did the 6 to 8 weeks, I've swept this under the rug, and now I want to start dealing with this. What are the steps that they start taking?
Well, the first step is
keep in mind that the environment might be where they have men who probably laugh at them, who are not as accommodating, and again, you know, they have this societal pressure, etc.
Well, the first thing men do when dealing with heartache is they bring out the ego. Because ego and pride will protect me and I don't have to deal with it. So when I work with men, I tell them the first place to begin is accepting that you are in pain, that something is hurting you.
So how does that look like, bringing up the ego?
So, well, they bring up the ego with, I'm all right. Okay. You know, I'm not going to call you. I don't need you. I'm not going to relapse as quick. And that's why they block you. They delete your numbers. So that need at, you know, 2:30 in the morning when I've come home drunk and I realize my emotions are starting to come up and I really miss you in bed and I miss your company and I miss everything about this relationship, I'm not going to reach out and text you. Because, you know, think about it. When men do break up, it's not always a clean-cut breakup. There's always the makeup, the breakup, the makeup, the breakup, until some men decide being with some women is really toxic and I want to move on and I want to heal and I don't want to be in this. Other times, some men go through not even midlife crisis, but like a quarter life crisis where you feel, I'm settling down, I'm falling in love with a woman. Could this be the one, which means, does it mean everything else will stop? And do I break up because, you know, what's the cost of me settling down to be with someone, and I'll never ever get to experience a million things again? So I've seen that a lot. It's not that they're mean, they're evil, and they're hurting someone. It's that they really are confused about what step do I take? How do I react as a man? How should I be? There's no manual also guiding me as a man on relationships. So if any man right now is going through heartache, the first step is to be able to say, I need to acknowledge the person I was with and what we went through. So first, am I breaking up because the relationship was toxic and there's a reason I've chosen to break up with her? Or did I break up and I made a silly mistake and I did something silly? So you need to acknowledge, where are you, okay, in what stage you're in. And then the second stage is to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna just feel everything I need to feel. What does it look like? Do I miss her? Do I not miss her? Do I miss companionship? Do I not? So you want to get into slow stages of, you know, the anger. Men do go through the depression. They do bargain with, should I go back? Should I change? Could it work? Could it not? You re-fantasize. You idolize the person. And sometimes you got to recognize a breakup is a breakup for a reason. So you're not going back, and there's a reason you're going to go forward, is because it did not work. So you don't re-fantasize everything that was great. Because you'll have men say that my experiences with her were amazing. And then when you look at the moment that you remember, what came after? Yep, that was all toxic. I completely forgot that. You know, we climbed up a mountain. It was amazing. We intimately connected, but you forgot the part of when we were coming down the mountain, we fought nonstop all the way home, and then we didn't talk for 4 days. So it's getting real about the situation, but it's also for men to be able to acknowledge, I can speak to someone. And I see men find it easier to talk to a woman because a woman will listen. A guy will laugh back. He won't allow him room to feel and to be. But men are feeling, and they really are in today's day and age. They're just blocked to doing that. And so you want to go through literally the grieving stages, from anger, sadness, depression, anxiety, to eventual acceptance of, do I want to go back, and how can I reconnect it? Or did I break up for a reason and I want to move forward?
All right. Well, so many things to follow up on there, and we'll talk to CJ in a moment, but we have some feedback. I want to just read some of those tweets. A viewer says there are two types of heartbreak: a relationship gone sour and death of a loved one. Total loss is even heavier on the man, especially when your kids are involved. Please address this. All right, we'll address the loss as well. Heartbreak from losing somebody. All right. Silence is the medicine for heartbreak. Okay. Lonely boy from Nandi says, when your heart is broken, don't put off yourself to the shoes. Accept it and move on. The moment you fix yourself in that shoe is like you are forcing a cow to drink water, and you'll definitely find yourself stranded, and you will end up losing more than you would have achieved. Okay. Major Kingsley, it's an SMS. Men don't know how to deal with the pain of heartbreaks, and it becomes so much easier for them to move on and forget about everything. I don't know about the forgetting part. I joined forces with Shatta Boy. I knew this would happen. Men always ignore heartbreak, but ladies take time to deal with heartbreak. How to move on with heartbreak? Date your head. Know yourself and try to motivate yourself. Okay. Men don't know how to deal with the pain of heartbreaks, and it becomes so much easier for them to move on and forget about everything, all right? Men feel heartbroken if a wife material chick leaves them because they are hard to find. All right, some tweets now.
That's material ndio kusema nini?
Material linatolewa wapi? Nana Muntaz, we live in a society where men are believed to manage any hardship coming their way, and heartbreak is one of them. We break up today, tomorrow you get another gyal. Wanjao 2011, they say women have support groups. I also have a support group in my local pub where I drink some cups and speak my heart out when I'm going through something. It works, he says, or she says. Anaskomingi priest. The fact that all these will one day end for each and every one of us, what's there worth crying or dying or fighting and killing for? There is pain, yes, but is it worth personalizing it? Move on fast because actually there's nothing in the world that lasts. Interesting view. Nyawaga 2. No, there's nothing like moving on too fast. It's about how quick the replacement came. Moha Victor, after heartbreak, it is good for someone to take some time to heal and work on yourself in order to be a better person before getting into another relationship. Timo, you really need to work on how to say it, so because okay. All right. So those are just some of the SMSs there. Interesting views, CJ. I guess generally the consensus, if you were to take that as a sample, is that men move on quickly. Kuna wengine wanasema, kuna mwingine atasema hii maisha ni moja bana. It was a interpretation of YOLO, but I don't think, is that like the way to really view it? I don't think so. Based on what you've seen from the feedback, what do you think?
See, the problem with what we call moving on quickly is that it becomes very unfair for the next destination. Because you're coming in here with your wounds, with your heart, with your pain, suspicion, insecurities, your fears, and how you're going to treat the next person is actually being determined by how the last person treated you. So they're coming into something that they did not order for. But for the man, because they need to heal or move or forget, they just feel this is a very, you know, last week we talked about unions of convenience. Right. And so this is very convenient for them. So they've got company, they've got somebody else. Sometimes they move on to the next person while they're still looking at the side mirror to see who their ex is with and where she is. You'll be amazed at how many people still text their exes even when they are married because they want to go back into that experience. They moved on because at that particular point the ego thing came in and they wanted to look like they were not hurting. Right. Then they're now in 5 years of marriage, 7 years of marriage, 10 years, 15 years of marriage, and then they begin texting their ex and trying to get a bit cozy with them because their eye was still on the side mirror. So it is a facade that men actually move on very quickly. It is something that they try to do just to cover up for them dealing with the weakness at that particular point. It's important for the man to deal with his pain, because if he really doesn't, that pain can be inverted into anger. And that anger will come out in a lot of things, in a lot of ways. So he's very irritable, you know, he's not very approachable in certain things. If you do anything that would remind him what the last relationship would remind him of, if it was a very, yeah. So you will be, what the next person will be wondering, why is this person so angry or aloof? You'll hear men talk about things like never allow a woman to do this, and probably it's because of one experience. One experience that he has had with a certain lady. He used to give her money and then he feels that she cheated on me when I was supporting her. So he'll go into the next one and say never give a woman money.
It's a lie.
Man is not
give
healed.
the money. Yeah.
The man is not healed. Or never trust a lady when she has these groups, you know, the way the support system that women would have. So maybe she had a situation with that support group for the women, probably 1 or 2 ladies who he thought were not good influence. So when he moves into the next one, he doesn't want this lady to have friends around him. This person has not healed. They've not moved on. They have walked, but they're still stuck at the place of their pain, and they're releasing that pain in the next place. You know how it is said, if you don't deal with your pain, you'll be bleeding on people who didn't cut you. And there are a lot of men who are doing that. Then the women will think this is just how this guy is, but it's not true.
So in that regard, you know, based on even everything we've seen and heard shatter, have you changed your stance, so to speak?
Hiyo nayo ibadiliki ndugu yangu. Hiyo nayo ibadiliki, imenisaidia sana. Mimi nimewahi kuadbreakiwa once na Arsenal. Ilipigwa hit.
Sikia sasa.
Iliniuma.
But isn't it interesting though?
Sikia hivyo juu ya mtu. We can recover.
Come on, Arsenal, get ready for major heartbreak. Anyway, I want to, before you answer that, also CJ said it can even be like 10, 15 years in marriage na bado unaangalia nyuma. And we've been asking ourselves, like, what happens when it hits you? I guess it can take quite a while for it to hit you, but it will hit you. So what would you do? Because kuna watu watch sahi wanauliza sasa tufanye aje na tumeheartbreakiwa. Tufanye nini, shatter boy? Give us a guidance and protection team.
Sasa anyway.
Nimekuweka kwa nini?
So utafanya niongee vizuri. Nilikuwa nataka kuongea vizuri. Okay. Sitaki kuongea vizuri because
if Shatta goes the sentimental side, he will lose his position as the president of the rebels.
Yes. This wants me to do that. Yes, Bareni, wacha nitaicheza kimimi. Kile wandozi. Kama libiwa jana. Angalia. Iko hivi First of all, to establish madem ndo unyima wanaume ku open up, because it's easier for a man to talk akiwa hurt na mdem kuliko mwanamume mwingine, unaget. Na mostly when you go talk to a girl about a heartbreak you have, they tell you to ignore it. Wanakwambia achana huo dem, kwani hakuna dem mwingine, you see. And chances are huyo tu yeye mwenye uko na yeye huyo sasa utaanza kumkatia huyo. Una problem heartbreak ilikuja juu yake. Juu your partner was telling you staki company yako na Bobby, lakini unafiligi huyo Bobby unisikiliza. Una get? So ukitoka ukikuja huko kuongea na yeye anakuambia wewe ignore huyo dem. Anakuaga mtoxic. Nishi kuambia atakutoka. Una get? Those are the things they tell you to move on. Una get? They don't tell you so how you feeling, what do you think we should do? Hakuna hiyo time. They just want your need to be brushed, like okay, to share handle, let's move to something else. Una get? So you end up falling in love na yeye, jua alikusaidia kumove on huko, then inafika point pia wewe unaanza kumfanyia the same things unafanya yule mwingine, but ni yeye alikutengenezea hiyo platform ya kufanya hivyo. Sasa tukikuja kwa men dealing with heartbreak, kaza inategemea ni wewe ulitokwa. Juu kuna point mmesema hapo, pia mwanaume anaweza toka mtu, unaona una feel tu dem yenyewe nampenda, lakini kwa sasa she is too much. I think the love I am feeling and the toxicity is up there. So I need to move. Unaona? You use that toxicity to move, man. Unajiambia yenyewe kiukweli hata kama nilikuwa napenda ude mali alikuwa ananikosea na vitu ABCD. Na mimi nimezidi juu hata why change hizi vitu ananifanyia mbaya. Unaelewa? So sometimes love is not enough to keep you there. Unaelewa? That is number one. Kuna wanaume pia kutoka made. Sawa? Shut up here. Now. Okay, sasa kwa mwanaume mwenye maybe sasa uko pale umetuangika proper au malfunction, that is the thing I keep telling men. You are not malfunctioning, that you're feeling hurt, that someone broke your heart. It is a stage of life. Na kujikubali ndio key. Kubali vile unasikia, usifight nayo. Wewe ikubali, tafuta mtu mwenye atakusikiliza. Watu wakikucheka wachana nao. Probably au sio watu right wa kuongelesha. But if kama una feel vibaya kwa roho yako, feel. Now next time you'll be a better person. You will know every day is a learning process. When you feel that next time, because you are ule utaendea pia hata kwa break, it's not guaranteed. They might break you. You will know how to deal with it. You will say, yeah, there's a time I felt this is how I handled it. So deal with it, handle it, don't fight it, don't run away from it. Get people that will support you. Look for CJ and Shaz and Roberto. Don't look for Shatta and Willis. Don't.
I don't know if locked me into that. Anyway, okay. I'm told there's some more feedback, Timo. Tim Iko? Okay, so there's some more feedback. Let's take a look at some tweets here as well. Chasongoyo, beg your pardon, _ tunaoga tunarudi sokoni. That's how we deal with heartbreak. Dikanai. Nowadays people take love for granted, so we should keep it in our lungs. You didn't even say heart, and not in the heart. So that if things go south, you breathe it out and you move on. Usa. All right, this idea that talking about a problem is a good thing is not the only solution to a problem. Men challenge themselves first, which is a good idea. There are a lot of bad advice from friends, and filtering good views is that a nightmare, or he cast and then you guys put the asterisks? Okay. Arogo Jerry. The only way to deal with heartbreak is to understand that no woman should hold your life hostage. When she leaves, move the double steps. Translated, kanyaga kubwa kubwa towards another woman. That's it. All right. I think, Bobby, the thing that they're not mentioning, most of these people, is breathe in, breathe out. Kanyaga kubwa kubwa is that there's a lot of work up in between. And I think that's what we should talk about. Talk about the work that is involved, in terms of moving on. Yeah.
Okay. I've said, first of all, you have to accept. And then for you to learn all these things, you have to educate yourself.
Right.
You have to be willing to learn, and you have to put yourself in the right environments whereby you have the space to heal, and you're being supported with love, and you're able to grow, and you're able to communicate your feelings without holding back or being afraid. So the work that you put in has to be very deliberate. It doesn't matter what method you choose to feel better, whether it's talking to a therapist, or it's listening to music, or you take long walks, or you're finally able
those
to talk
are the healthy
about
options.
Yeah,
Okay.
or those are just examples
Yeah.
of because I don't even support the unhealthy options, because what happens is that they keep you going back, and then that's when now the addictions come in, and then now you have a whole new problem to start dealing with that's stemming from the last issue that you had. So the best way to deal with these things is more so in a healthy way, so that you're able to just, because when you treat yourself good, you feel good. When you eat good, when you listen to good music, when you surround yourself with good people, when you talk about good things and you dress nicely and you shower and you smell good, you just start to feel good. And it helps a lot with your healing. It's the small things, but you have to be very deliberate. You have to accept, you have to say, I have a problem and this is what I want to come out of whatever is going through. So whatever you choose to do in between there, because people have different ways to deal with things. Some people want to talk about things right off the bat. Some people would rather wait a few days or a few weeks or not talk about it at all. As long as it's healthy and it's going to improve your state of mind, then go for it. But now, you have to be aware. Hakuna kazi unaweza fanya kama ujui uko na shida. Kama ujui, if you don't know that you need help, then you're not going to look for help. If you do not know that you need to be in a healthy environment with people who are very willing to listen to you, you'll think going to the pub and meeting up with other women is the easier way out. It's just a night, tomorrow I'll be okay, I'll forget, I'll meet someone else, I'll meet another woman again, So it becomes now another problem that you have to deal with, like, okay, now I'm in this situation where I can't even speak about my feelings without feeling like I need a drink or I need to be intimate with someone else. And that's wrong, because if you love yourself and you want to take care of yourself, you have to be very deliberate. You have to wake up and say, this is what I want for myself. But as long as you're just in this loop of whatever goes, however it happens, and pain keeps you there. Because it makes you hopeless, it makes you feel like it's a hole you cannot get out of. So the easiest fix becomes the better option. And that's why most people run away from doing the actual work. So when us women are here crying every day, talking about our emotions, and the boys are out there using other things to substitute for healthy ways to heal, that's the difference that it brings out. You can clearly see who's doing okay in 2 months and who's starting to feel their feelings now. So the thing with healing is whatever route you decide to go, just be very deliberate about the end that you want in your life. If it is that you want to feel better and to do better and to look good and to be happier, you have to put in the work. It's not things you say. It's not about posting quotes on Instagram that you know nothing about, that you don't even understand the real meaning. Like, it has to be coming from you. You have to want it so bad from your heart, and that's how you're going to see the change.
Yeah. That's how change is going to come. And so, again, okay, we have about Sheshi. Don't get that ambili. So, again, I like to say, because I like to, sometimes this could be the difference. This could be the time where somebody has actually just tuned in. And when I used to go to a certain place, they used to say, somebody used to tell me, right this instant, somebody's being heartbroken at a restaurant. So there could be somebody who went through it even yesterday, a week ago, maybe they're 6 weeks, maybe it's a month ago, whatever period, and they're watching and they want to know, okay, Shaz, this happened to me. Especially the one where probably you are, like Shata said, you're the man who made the decision to leave for the right reasons. Or whatever it is. And then also those who are dealing with loss from the loss of a loved one. Maybe you can talk to that kind of person.
When you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, there's no fast way to deal with it. There's no right way to deal with it. There's the 5 stages of grief, but the truth is you don't go through the actual 5 stages. You don't even reach acceptance immediately. You jumble between the first 4 stages of anger, bargaining, sadness, depression. You go through it over and over. And when you are grieving the loss of a relationship, remember this. If a relationship was toxic, your breakup healing it will be toxic. If your relationship was great, then the healing is something that's going to be extremely painful. So you've got to be able to remember, especially men, because men feel, you know, I lost a great woman if she left me, and it's hurt me and it's broken me, and will I ever find a woman like that? And, you know, studies even show that men who don't deal with their emotions are the same men who get sick a lot faster, because the right woman was the woman that nagged you with, have your medicine, go out, wear a sweater. They nurture you, they take care of you. That's the beauty of women. The right woman in the right relationship will give you the right heartache. The wrong woman in the wrong relationship will have you feel, I need to hit the gym and I'm okay.
To release this excess energy.
Exactly. But when you're also dealing with, you know, loss in any sort of form, I say take your time with it. You want to be able to also understand, what did I learn from the relationship? Number 1, what do I never want to tolerate again? And this is a chance. I always say use your breakups as your personal makeups. Now think about, who would I like to be? What is the kind of person I'd like to attract? Then think about the loss of this relationship. How did it help me grow? What have I done post this relationship? Where was I losing myself in that relationship that now this breakup is literally putting me on a pedestal to be able to heal and move on, and hopefully find love later on once I've understood what I've gone through. I think for men, it takes a beautiful man to be able to say, I'm hurting and I need to deal with it, and I might not know how to, but you've got a couple of the stages from this, even if, you know, you rewatch it on YouTube. But it's for men to acknowledge, I'm feeling pain, because you are. Because if the brain is acknowledging it as physical pain, you cannot tell me there's no emotional pain. You might be great at masking and saying, I don't know it's emotional pain, but you are going through it. And it's the culture of, haha, let's laugh, you know, like let's laugh about the fact we don't feel pain. But then you're still the same man walking out all alone, sitting there hurting. So you need to be able to find a couple of people in your life, even if it's just someone else, that it's not only talking about the problem, it's learning from the breakup. Because the more you just talk about the problem, it doesn't go away, it doesn't get solved. That's why the right group of people or the right person will help you understand the stages of the breakup, understand who you are becoming, and then explain to you that there is so much life out there that is possible that you need to experience. So breakups can be your personal makeups.
All right. And CJ, on the other side of the spectrum as well, there are those who probably have been going around it the wrong way, and you know, maybe they're now addicted to alcohol, addicted to sex, addicted to all manner of stuff. What would be your advice to them?
See, I was just thinking about that, like, it's very selfish not to deal with your heartbreak.
Right.
Because then the pain that you have, you're going to dispense it elsewhere. And it may be by using somebody else as your toy. You don't want to connect, so you just want them when you need them, and they're trying to connect with you, but you only see them as good for the bedroom or something, and release your anger. Men don't just release their anger in the gym. Some of them, their gym is elsewhere. It's in the home. And they will be releasing their energy in intimacy with a woman who then will not feel appreciated. Her body is the place where this man then releases his pain. Sometimes then they also go for less than they would settle for before, because they stop believing in the authenticity of love and connection. So they just pick anybody at that particular point. Later on, when they come back to their senses, they feel they deserve more. And then they need to walk away from this person who feels, I helped you heal, I walked with you through this. But then they've now come back to their senses and they feel they need to move on to something better. They need to make better choices. It is very selfish not to deal with your pain, because eventually then you will be extending that pain to other people.
All right, well, we're gonna stop there. I saw some of your feedback, they're still there, but like Shah said, you can go and watch, rewatch this, pick some tips, on there as from YouTube as well. Make sure you do that, and hopefully it'll help you out. I think at the end of the day, one common thread I've picked is that you got to deal with it. You got to do the work, and you have to communicate. You have to say, I say siko poa. And if, like Shata said, if they laugh at you, then fine. You let them see the back of your head as they laugh, and never turn back, and just go to somebody who will listen to you, because you have to deal with it. Otherwise, it will become a problem in the long run. I hope we were able to help you. Continue this discussion online, offline, wherever you are, in groups, wherever you will go. So long as you're helping each other, it's going to be great. Successful people look like you, and as you're about to see on Thursday, the great Manchester United. Make sure that you tune in to Ramogi TV, our new baby here at Royal Media Services. Check it out on Viusasa, ADN, Signet, YouTube, and on all their social media channels. Peace and love.